All righty, folks, we are back with a top 1% real estate agent, Beth Traverso. It has been actually about a month since we've had a chance to catch up with Beth, given travels, events, things that she's busy with, things I'm busy with. So I thought we would check in and see what the heck is going on in the Seattle or King County market. Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market, above, below the median, cash offers? What is going on, Beth?
Hey, Mike, feels so good to be back. I missed you and everybody. Of course, I kept up on the videos, but August is a busy time and now it's back to, you know, full-time back to business. And I never leave business, right? But, take a little break here and there for travel. Kids are back in school, real estate market chugging along, and we have August data. What I'm seeing is that August was a little bit slow, just like in the Seattle area. We always see that because our weather is world class in August. People are out, they're traveling, they're doing other things. And likewise, what I see is there's fewer listings coming on the market, and it just felt really quiet out there. Not to say things weren't selling, things are always selling, but it was just a little more just muted. Everything felt, it didn't feel like particularly strong for buyers or sellers. It was just kind of static. So we didn't see there's still definitely opportunities out there, because if there's a seller that needs to sell, and that's mostly who I'm seeing listing right now, are people that need the need to sell. It's still the need to sell people. We're not seeing too many people out there that want to sell just because. It's because they have a compelling reason to sell. So
Right.
if something's been on the market for a little while, August, I've been telling my clients for many years that August and December, I think, are the best opportunity months for buyers.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, you want to deal when the activity is the least, so that your percent opportunity of finding that motivated seller is the highest.
Yeah.
It's a numbers game, and in Seattle, it sounds like August and December. Other states, it might be October, November, December. It really depends on your market,
Right.
your
You
buy
got to
box.
know your market. I know some places August is prime time. If you're a vacation destination, then that might be prime time, because that's when you've got all eyes on you. People are visiting and thinking, oh, we could live here or buy a vacation home here, etc. So, but where we are, everybody's out of town. So, what we saw was that the number of listings is up year over year. Prices are still up year over year, but the percent over the year over year numbers are compressing.
Yep, makes
So
sense.
where it was 11% or so in July, now it's about 5 or 6% year over year. So we're seeing that kind of level out a little bit.
Yeah. One of the things I know I wanted to ask you about, because I think you would have the greatest sense of this, is the NAR settlement has actually gone into force across the country. Now, again, King County, you've had your own
Yeah.
uniqueness, which is cool. But what are I think it's really buyers. How are buyers acting with all the noise about signing, a buyer's
Yeah.
agreement ahead of time? And what are buyers thinking with this NAR settlement?
So it's going to be confusing for some buyers. For buyers that are paying attention and having the conversation with their agents, and they have agents that know how to explain it properly, they're doing just fine. There's a lot of agents out there that are confused too, but the ones that have been paying attention for a while, they know how to explain it to their clients, whether it's sellers or buyers, and say, here's what it means for you, for us. Here's how we're going to need to be working from here on out. And the main change is that buyers and buyers agents are going to need to negotiate for the buyer agent compensation, where it was just almost a given in the past, where it's just like, we just assume that the seller's paying my agent. Now it's another line item on the offer that needs to be discussed and negotiated, just like literally every other term in the contract. Price, closing, earnest money, financing, inspection, buyer agent commission. It's just another thing to wrap in there.
Mhm.
And again, the biggest change that we're seeing around here, some states have been required buyer agency agreements for a long time. In Washington, it hasn't been a requirement. It's just been an option forever, but most buyers agents and buyers did not have a buyer agency agreement. Now it's required. It's required before you can tour any home. So you can't step foot in the door without a signed buyer agency agreement. There's no one-off or anything that you have to have that, and it's a level of commitment that some buyers are not comfortable making. So I've been seeing for a while now that there's been a little bit of a decrease in the private showing numbers. This is just my own personal experience. I'm not tracking through any service or anything like that, but just what I'm seeing is more activity through open houses on the weekend, because that's exempt from that. If a listing agent is holding, or someone on the listing agent's team that's working for sellers holding that house open, there's no requirement for a buyer agency agreement, at least in Washington. There might be other states where people will say it's required there, know your rules, but we're seeing that that's a great way for people to come in who just want to see the house and don't necessarily want to sign a legal contract, allowing them to do it. And I'm seeing a lot of people just click through it on their phone. Oh, you need me to sign this thing? Doot, 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 doot. They're not looking at what it says. And you might be committing yourself to somebody who maybe isn't a good fit for you.
Yeah,
It could be for
that's
6 months. It could be for a higher percentage than what's normally being offered. And you may be on the hook for that as a buyer.
yeah, this
No
is the one thing
signing.
that I was concerned with the day or so after I read the proposed settlement that's now legal, is you're asking buyers who may only buy one or two houses their entire life to sign an agreement that historically hasn't been required. And I think a lot of them are going to do the dit, 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 dit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not careful, you could be signing multiple leads with multiple people and be on the hook for a lot of money should you eventually buy something.
Right.
It could be a problem.
People need to really be aware. And as a buyer, you need to make sure you're having that conversation with your agent. So it's an agreement. They show the value they bring. You agree to that compensation. And I would also ask if what the likelihood is that this would be covered by a seller versus not. There's technically there's no standard. There is, by law, there's no standard, but if you're at a certain point that you might be higher than what others are commonly offering, and you might be on the hook for the balance for that.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, but it appears that the firm who launched the NAR settlement and got the settlement is now launching a fixed-based fee-based buyer service. Have you heard about this?
I saw that. Yeah. And that actually doesn't surprise me at all, because clearly they don't value agents, or why would they have brought that? You know what I mean? And they just cashed in $1 gazillion.
Yeah.
Congrats. They won the game. And they want to roll out one of these flat fees. They've been around
Yep.
forever. I mean, I've been in the business 26 years. There's always been the flat fee services. The thing is, people want more than just entry into the MLS. There's always been like a $500, we'll put with no representation, of like a for sale by owner type of situation, more or less, where you get on the MLS. That's always been an option. There's been all kinds of discount brokerages. They usually find that it costs a lot more to do the business than they think, and they usually end up not being profitable and end up going
Yeah.
out of business. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what it actually costs to really run a business to help people buy and sell homes. It's more than a lot of people realize when it's done right.
Yeah, what I thought was interesting is they're attacking the showings head on. I think they're charging like $50 a showing, or you could buy a package for $250 for whatever it is, 5 or 6. That is something, again, buyers have not traditionally paid for.
No.
And to see a house. And I think that's going to be a problem. And to your point, I think open houses, it would not shock me if by next spring selling season, if people are having open houses regularly on weekdays, because right now it's very much a Saturday, Sunday thing. I just think people are going to see open houses as the thing.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't shock me if, Wednesday night at 5 to 9, there's an open house all of a sudden. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. We're starting to see a few more Friday twilight open houses, they call them. And I think that's a great idea. I love open houses. A lot of agents say, well, there's been this narrative for a long time that open houses don't sell houses.
They are
now. I think that has changed. I saw that change ever since 2020. As soon as open houses opened up again and we were allowed to have them, they've been very well attended. And there are people who are actively out there writing offers or coming through the open house. They don't want to inconvenience a seller to have to clear out of the house. They don't want their agent to have to drive half an hour there and back. if they're not even sure if they like it, they just want to come through with no pressure, check it out, and then decide what they want to do after that. So
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of it. We do open houses, multiple open houses every weekend on whatever we have that's available to hold open. It's a great way to meet buyers. It's a great way to get, I mean, ultimately the goal is get buyers through the listing, sell the listing. But yeah, I don't know if people are going to want to pay for showings. I mean, all business models are welcome. See, people have
We'll see what
choice. And
happens.
that's the beautiful thing. People should have all the options. But in the past, what people would do is they would just click a button on Redfin or Zillow and just meet whoever shows up to open key turner to open the door. And they're not going to be able to do that anymore as easily. They're going to have to sign something to do that. So, so I don't know, the $50 per showing, I don't know. But the thing is, if people start paying hourly for their agent's work, they might end up with a larger bill than they realize once they realize how much work we do for nothing, for free. But there's a risk premium involved, because I don't know of any other, I'm sure there's other commission-based careers out there where you only get paid when and if you close on something at the very end. There's no pay. I've worked with some people. I think my longest was maybe 6 years or so. I worked with the buyer all over Western Washington. They did finally purchase something 6 years later. I don't even know what I made per hour, but I don't think of it
not
that
much.
way.
You probably lost money
that way. Yeah, and you never know at the beginning how long it's going to take, and it's because of all sorts of different factors why something might be more difficult than not. So that's why one reason why the fee-based platform and business model is challenging, because you don't know, and sometimes as a buyer you might think, well, it was easy, all they did was write it up, and that takes 10 minutes. Like, well, that's maybe 1% of the job. And if it goes smoothly, sometimes it's just luck of the draw. But sometimes it's if you have agents involved that know how to do it right, where we can smell a problem long before it ever happens and make sure it doesn't happen, and that you, the buyer, don't feel the impact of that.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Let's step back and actually look at the August numbers. It'll be very interesting to see if August hits a cycle low across the country.
Yeah, I know you're a numbers guy, and I like to look at the numbers too. So can you see my screen here?
I can. Yep.
Okay.
Maybe pop one step bigger, maybe. Can we?
Let's see what we can do here. It cuts off the top. Maybe we don't need to see the top. This is residential only. And this is always what I look at right here down in the lower right. This is our months of inventory. We're creeping up just a tiny bit, still under 2 months of inventory. It was 1.66 in July, 1.76 in August. It's just been hanging out around that 2-month mark, which means we're far from a buyer's market. But it feels more like a buyer's market out there, because we're seeing fewer bidding wars. When I see houses sell, I always watch the closing price. We'll see the hot ones will sell for a little bit over. We're talking maybe 1 to 3% over. And just as many will sell for maybe 1 to 3% under versus over, depending on how hot or not. If that makes sense. What we're seeing here is, so for all of King County, which is the greater Seattle area, it's about 955. We peaked in May back in 1 million with our all-time cycle high. So we're back to down. It always creeps down a little bit in the summertime. So that's another thing too. And it's the bidding wars that push the price higher in the spring, and then they close in May or so, and then it starts to drop down a little bit when the bidding wars cease to push the prices up. And then we see where we are. Last year we were at 906, now we're at 955. My area on the east side here, what year ago was in 1.45. Now we're at 1.55. This was up a little higher though. It's been creeping down a little bit. Part of that's because the east side is where we tend to see the most extreme bidding war activity when it's hot. And when it cools off, you feel that more dramatically too. So a little more swings in the numbers that we see month to month. And then this is interesting here. Our total inventory is up 28% year over year, which is a decent bump. You can see we were at about 2,000 last year. We're at 2,242. Again, that's still not a lot for a county that has over 2 million residents. So
no, it's not a lot.
No. So buyer's market's kind of like, oh, it's situational. I would say in our area, we're seeing it's a little more level. We're seeing it kind
Yeah.
of flat. I can't say that it's particularly seller friendly or buyer friendly right now, but I would say you just need to be very good
Well,
at.
what would you say the average days on market are for to get an offer? Are we talking 2 weeks, 3 weeks? What are we thinking?
Yeah, I would say, well, the hot listings are going to sell within the first 5 days usually, and
Okay.
then the a typical house is taking more like 10 to 15 days or so.
Okay.
And
The reason,
then, so not bad. And
right.
then some are taking months, and those are the ones that are a little bit atypical for whatever reason. And it doesn't even
Yeah.
necessarily mean that they're overpriced. It just means there's something about them that doesn't apply to the every person out there.
Right. And those are the ones, again, to your kind of your earlier point where we started. If I was in the market for something in King County or Seattle, I'd be looking at 45 days on market or greater. I'd be finding the properties that I'd be happy with. And then I'd be
Yeah.
writing disrespectful offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I would write a bunch of them. I would hope for a couple of counters, and I would find that one motivated seller who's got to sell.
Exactly. They're out there. And it's interesting that I'm not seeing as many investors offering out there as I would expect on the lower
Mm,
price ones. No, investors don't typically buy the higher priced properties. They
sure.
just don't even come close to cash flowing. They don't make sense at all as an investment. But the ones that are lower priced, sometimes I see these houses that I think this would be a really, really good investment.
Mm,
Why is nobody making offers right now? So
interesting. Okay.
I'm not sure why that is. I know rates have been high, but they're creeping
I,
down.
it's all about this stupid election. It's all about
Yeah.
this just the second half of the year is slow. I called it. It's going to see a cycle low. We're going to break below 3.89. We're just stacking marginal demand, marginal demand, marginal demand. And I'm frankly at this point afraid of what might happen to demand in, whenever the spring selling season starts,
Yes,
because
that is
that's going to
so
be crazy.
interesting because I'm eagerly watching that too and anticipating. I think we're going to see a bit of a spike in
It's going to
demand
you're going to
shaping up for
unleash it.
that.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. Rates go down 50 to 100 basis points. We're in the fives. The election is over. We know who the president is. Um, we we established a soft landing versus a hard landing, and and then oh my gosh, Beth, if they announce anything for first time home buyers, a 10,000 credit, a 25, just anything to incent acquisitions, watch out.
We're going to be off to the races. And what's interesting is I'm curious to see what's going to be happening in September because I know for me, we have a lot of new listings coming on the market in September.
Hmm. Is that
And
unusual?
well, I mean, we do always see a little bit of increased activity after Labor Day when people are back
Okay.
and back to business after the summer. Kids are back in school. People want to sell before the end of the year. They're making
Hmm.
plans. So I was expecting there to be a surge in listings the Thursday or so after Labor Day,
Okay.
and I did not see it. So I'm wondering, is
Interesting.
this just me? I don't know, but we have a lot of great listings coming on the market this month, and so
Hmm.
we're really curious to see because we're either going to have a spike in transactions or we're going to see maybe inventory start to creep up if more inventory
Yeah.
comes on and it's not being absorbed.
I'm curious when you see this great inventory coming on. Again, I'm always focused on and below and above the median. Is it all over the place, or is this concentrated above the median?
Mostly right around the median.
Okay.
I'm not seeing too much. The below the median is really scarce.
Yeah.
So at least where I am, I'm not seeing much coming on that's lower. And the ones that do come on for the most part are usually purchased quickly.
Right. That
But
makes
there's a
sense.
few there's stragglers that are just hanging around out there for a while. And those are the ones that the investors I'll be making offers on, especially if rates are coming down. I heard on your channel that the
Mhm.
DSCRs are in the fives now. So
Yeah.
that's me thinking. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy. 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 Well, Beth, I always appreciate you being here. Thank you for being a top 1% agent. You've been doing this for years. If somebody wanted to get a referral to another top 1% agent, or heck, buy or sell in King County, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, I can be found on my website. You can reach out to me through BethTraversogroup.com. My name's spelled right there. And I'm also on social media under Beth Traverso, or you can find me in the school group too. So I love interacting with the one rental at a time folks out there.
Very, very cool. Well, Beth, you're amazing. Welcome back. Let's talk to you next week.
You. All right. Bye.